Welcome to CryptoChicks Corner, an educational podcast to teach you the basics of blockchain technology and how to harness it to start or expand your own business. CryptoChicks is a nonprofit organization on a mission to grow the professional and leadership potential of women in blockchain and artificial intelligence. I'm your host, Ashley Spradlin, and welcome to our corner. Hey CryptoChicks community, this week we're deviating a bit from our Season 2 theme of chats with Web3 creators and shifting back into student mode. After our last episode with Elena, I felt like we needed to review the actual process of transactions on a blockchain, so you can better understand the technology and make more informed decisions about which networks to use. I want to take a moment to explain consensus mechanisms and the different actors in a proof-of-stake blockchain. We've talked a bit about consensus mechanisms like proof-of-work and proof-of-stake in our DeFi episode from Season 1. Check out Episode 6 to learn more about how people earn from contributing to a network through mining and staking. But let's take some time today to go a little deeper into consensus mechanisms and the actors in a blockchain network. We've established that a blockchain is run by multiple nodes, or computers, distributed across the globe owned by many people, which means everyone who runs a node holds blockchain data. The network of nodes is known as a peer network. The members of the peer network share data and communicate directly with one another. Anytime a transaction is made, nodes must come to consensus, or a group agreement, on whether or not to add it to the ledger, which changes the state of the blockchain. Blockchains usually don't require that 100% of the peer network agrees on the state of the blockchain. Ethereum, for example, requires that 66%, or a 2/3 majority, of the nodes in the network agree to the state. You'll hear that phrase a lot in this episode, the state, or the state of the blockchain. And it's basically like settling the accounts. For instance, if I have $20, spend $5, and then earn 8 more, then the state of my account is $23. So let's walk through the process of a transaction being added to Ethereum's proof-of-stake blockchain from start to finish. A user processes a transaction. Bob sends Alice $500 from his wallet. When transactions are initiated, they are broadcast to the other nodes in the network and held in a sort of limbo called a mempool. A mempool is the waiting room for transactions to be validated before being added to a block, which is just a group of transactions. Remember that once a transaction is added to the blockchain, it can't be undone, so this is a crucial step in securing a network and stopping fraudulent activity. So in the mempool, Bob's send of $500 to Alice undergoes a few checks, like, does Bob have enough in his wallet to send $500 to Alice? Are there any other transactions from Bob's wallet that will be processed sooner, making his balance lower than $500 and therefore invalidating this send? Is this transaction definitely coming from Bob's wallet? In other words, is a digital signature from Bob's private key on this transaction valid? Now, a validator has to confirm that Bob's transaction is legitimate before including it in a block. Validating nodes have to stake 32 ETH, which at the time of this recording is a little over $41,000, as collateral against dishonest activity. If a validator behaves badly, some or all of that collateral is taken from them. A validator is randomly chosen to be a block proposer, which means they bundle transactions together, execute them, and determine a new state, or in other words, the most up-to-date wallet balances for Bob and Alice. They wrap this information into a block along with other transactions and pass it around to other validators in the network to confirm or deny the new state. Gas fees come into play here. Users can pay a higher gas fee to prioritize their transaction being added to the block over others waiting in the mempool. Validators receive rewards based on the gas fees of the transactions in a block that they process, so they're incentivized to put transactions with higher priority fees up first. Usually your wallet will tell you gas limits that are more likely to move your transaction through the process, but in times of high network demand, users sometimes compete for faster transaction processing by paying higher gas fees. Once a block of transactions is validated, the block is closed and added to the previous blocks, maintaining the chronological order of transactions. Blocks are strictly ordered, and each new block contains a reference to its parent or previous block to maintain the order of transaction history and the most accurate state of the blockchain. This is important, so if anyone reorders the blocks or tries to alter the state, it'll be immediately apparent. And voila, Alice has $500 in her wallet thanks to Bob. Now, if you followed along with our podcast, you know the gas fees on Ethereum can be really expensive when traffic is high. This is where Layer 2 networks come into play. Layer 2s, like Midas, are built on top of Ethereum, which means their transactions are all settled on the Ethereum network and are therefore subject to the same security and decentralization mechanisms. The difference is that they batch many transactions together and pass them through the validation process on Ethereum as one, making the transaction speed much quicker and the cost much cheaper. The process of transaction completion on Midas Smart L2 is much like that of Ethereum's with the addition of a few key players. If Bob uses the Midas Andromeda network to send Alice $500, his transaction waits in a mempool while a block producer gathers transactions, puts them in a block, and shares them with the peer network for review. A sequencer now receives all the transaction data from the peer network, computes this batch of transaction data to identify the new state based on the transactions included, and submits the new state to Layer 1. So basically, they look at all of the transactions in a block, they do all the calculations to come up with their final balances or the final end state, and then that's the information passed through to the Ethereum network. All the transaction data that was used to calculate this state is still saved and available for anyone to review. Meanwhile, a verifier also downloads the transaction data from the peer network and computes their own state. So someone's checking the sequencer's work. They compare their calculations with the results reported by the sequencer, and if the results are the same, all transactions are considered valid and successful. If they're not the same, a fraud-proof process is initiated to identify the issue and put things in order again. Midas plans to make the sequencer role randomized, so this aspect of the transaction processing is more decentralized and secure. There are also plans to release a network of rangers whose job it will be to oversee the work of verifiers, adding an additional layer of security and oversight to the work. There are a lot of intricacies involved in making the network secure, incentivizing honest behavior, and removing any single points of failure. But through collaboration and ongoing innovation, these systems are only getting better. It's still pretty early in the development of this technology, so keep coming back for more education, and we'll keep sharing. Until next time. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of CryptoChicks Corner. I hope it was helpful. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you're notified when we release new episodes to build on what you just learned. We would love for you to take a moment to rate and review the show to help us serve more entrepreneurs. And remember that anyone can join our CryptoChicks Academy to take courses from experts in the field, and our hatchery can help you transform your business idea into a well-funded startup. Check out our show notes to get started, and we look forward to seeing you shine. This podcast wouldn't be possible without the support of our incredible sponsors. Women of Crypto is an NFT avatar collection that's the first of its kind, 3D rendered, and meant to represent the diversity and beauty of every single woman in the world. Their efforts are invested to bridge the gender gap and inspire and invigorate more women to participate in the world of crypto. Women of Crypto is a Metatora project, and we're so proud to partner with them. We also want to thank Midas. Midas is an Ethereum Layer 2 optimistic rollup platform to help you launch into the Web3 economy. Their platform harnesses the security and decentralization strengths of the Ethereum network with the added benefit of fast, low-cost transactions, native storage, and a user-friendly interface to make deploying your project simple and stress-free. Whether you're expanding projects in decentralized finance, NFTs, gaming, community, or you want to take your Web2 business to the next level, Midas is the platform for you.